Hello there. My name is Wilbert T. Sass, and I live in Omaha, Nebraska at the Palace. This is a house that my son provides me to live in. Wonderful Brian Timothy Sass. They don't get any better, right? So, listen, I like to talk about my mama creation. I'm a lifelong salesperson, and even though I'm pushing 80, I just can't give it up. You know what I mean? It's so exciting, the internet and the ability to communicate with people through the internet and the various ways. For someone like myself that's been selling for 71 years, I started out when I was 8 years old, and I've got a decent record. I've had some ups and I've had some downs. I've had some spectacular successes, and I've had some spectacular failures too, just like all salespeople that are out there doing the job and trying. So, and the thing that I focus on with Mama, and that I'd like to get across today in this video, is that Mama, first of all, stands for marketing, advertising, membership, associates. Okay. And the reason I created it, I searched around for quite a long time for the right combination of ideas to provide a solution to the enormous problem, and not one that's being that a problem that is being eradicated today for local independent business owners. Okay, now independent is a key word there, because uh, we have about 50% of the sales in the United States to consumers in most categories of business, or maybe creeping up more, is done by franchise businesses. That's where people pay to get a job. And unfortunately, but and believe me, I know something about the franchise business, because I bought 10 of the one of the I bought 10 franchises when I was younger and didn't know any better. When I was about 30, I don't know, 35 years old, and I bought 10 of one of the top franchises in the world at that time. If I'd mentioned the name, you'd know of it, but I'm not going to give them any free advertising. You can look at my online uh, SaaS career history, sales career history, if you want to find out what company that was. But the point is, I have extensive experience with owning 10 franchises, each one separate address location franchises. I had a director of operations that worked under me to help facilitate the management of each store. I had a store manager in each store. I had they had employees in each store, and the arrangement of the franchise, the business model itself, is what I became alert to, and realized that I wasn't working. I thought I was going to be working for myself, but I realized after I got into it and realized what how franchises deal with their franchisees, I realized that the business was not designed for me. It was designed for the franchise company. So I got real smart, because I've learned over the years that people will take advantage of you. Businesses will take advantage of you as long as they stay within the law. It's called laissez-faire. I think it's a French concept. Let the buyer beware, and that's what constitutes most governance of purchasing by consumers. Is that the onus is on you as a consumer when you make a purchase, because I'm telling you that companies, especially now with the internet, when you make a purchase, you make the purchase based on their legal agreement with you, that you agreed to their terms of service. Oh, have you ever heard of that, TOS? Well, that means that no, just about any, as long as you can't prove that they did some kind of fraud on you or entered into some conspiracy against your free will, and you still went ahead and purchased uh, uh, whatever the product is or service, you're stuck. Your money's gone. There's no way you're going to get your money back because they've got it said. The lawyers, the big slick lawyers, have got it all written that encompass, and the courts uphold the settled law on consumerism purchasing is set up so that the onus, it's let the buyer beware. It's the company has got done their thing. They put their legal things out there, and you got it. You when you click buy, that means that you understand everything they said about what they say they're going to do and what they say they're not going to do and who's responsible for that purchase and blah blah blah. Now there's fraud cases and there's conspiracy cases and so forth, and that's another subject, and that can be proven if there's evidence in court, and you can get your money back if there's a reason to go ahead. The thing that most of these companies rely on in that regard is it costs you more to get your money back than you spent. So it's just the only thing you can do is put some kind of a review out there, and there's websites that are trying to make money off of the off of the abuse that are imposed on consumers by providing them a website where the consumer can go on there and say this company is a scam. Well, I wouldn't waste my time giving that outfit an opportunity to make a profit because they're selling advertising based on the traffic to that website. So you see, they're just using you as well. So the bottom line is, with regard to advertising for small businesses, is not only do the franchise companies have the marketing budgets so they can stay top of mind with their exposures of advertising in the local market. You understand? In the local market, right down to the zip codes and carrier routes where the customers that do business with franchise stores live. So they're constantly in your face. And how do they do it? Well, they've got the budget to do it. They've got the dollars to spend. And where do the dollars come from? You. If you're a customer of a franchise store, you are paying for the advertisements that you saw that drove you to their store to get a few cents off on a so-called a special, and you paid for the cost of the special too. You think you saved something when you do business with a friend? Let me tell you something. You didn't say it costs you up to 30% more if you go do business with a franchise operator, any kind of them. Now, why is that? Well, it's very simple. If you know anything about the franchise business, which you don't, but if you do, and you should after you see this, if you see this, that first of all, the franchise pays a whopping a cash amount of money just for the right to use the brand, and then they pay an exorbitant fee to comply with the demands of the franchisee as far as what kind of a building the franchise can operate in, what the hours of operation are, and blah 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 blah. All kinds of restrictions that you have to meet as a franchisee in order just to get the franchise after you paid them big money to get it. And all of those things that you're required to do cost money. And where do you think that money comes from to pay for those things? Well, it comes out of the prices that the franchisee charges you when you do business with him. You think he's going to pay them? Now, this is in addition to the profit that he's going to make when he convinces you that you ought to buy from a franchise for whatever reason, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So now it's not just the conditions that you have to comply with at when you own a franchise or when you pay cash to get a job. You have to, in addition to that, you have to pay a percentage of your sales off of the top of every dollar you take in. and that is strictly enumerated in the franchise contract that you sign as a franchisee. That money is going to be used to advertise the franchise brand, not your store, but the brand, not the franchise store. The money's coming from the store, but the contract says it's going to be used to advertise the brand of the franchise you bought. All right. Now, obviously, whatever franchise a store location there is, the advertising is going to fit that particular brand. Of course, I'm sure. But my point is that they're not doing you any favors by advertising your store. What they're doing is advertising their brand, and they're using the customer's money to do it. And you're penalizing your customers to help them grow their brand. You see, if you don't think correctly about these things, then you're a sucker. Then you fall for all this crap. Okay, and so you gotta understand these things. Because you can't complain that prices are going up if you're aiding and abetting the people that are forcing the prices to go up, because you're the deciding person in terms of where you're going to spend your money and from whom you're going to buy. That's up to you. Okay. All right. So then it's not just the percentage that you pay out of that price that they charge you, the franchisee, but then you also pay a percentage as a franchisee. You also pay a percentage off of every sale that is for the right to continue to use that franchise. Okay, it's just, I think they got you coming and going, don't they? And they do. So the point I'm driving at is, if you're a consumer and you're doing business with a franchise because you think that's where all the action is as far as pricing, well, then you're paying up to a third more than you need to, and in some cases it's more than that. Okay, but then the other thing is that's so astounding to me is this is generally not known out in the, across the consumerism. But and nobody that should be telling you is telling you, because they're all in it for themselves. Because the people that are selling advertising, they're not going to tell you, yeah, go do business with the people that we do advertising for, because they're going to charge you a third more than they should. You see, they're not going to do that. They're sitting in league with, they're in collusion. There's a word you ought to be familiar with. They're in collusion with the franchise operators, the ones that are doing all the advertising for them. Any advertising you see, it's the advertisers who's in collusion with the people they're selling the advertising to. And how do I know that? Well, I'll tell you how. Because if you're selling advertising, you don't sell exclusives. Let that sink in. And why don't you? Because you're only in that advertising business for yourself. You see, a lot of people get up on their self-righteous high horse when they're doing whatever they do in business, and they're saying, "Oh, we're in business to give direct and the best service and the best possible options to our customers. Our customers are the greatest thing in the world. And oh, by the way, when you use our advertising to do business where we encourage you to go, those people that you're doing business with are charging you a third more than they need to get your business." See, they don't tell you that, do they? And again, what's astounding to me is that you have a situation where the local independent business owners, they price their menus and their prices. Well, how do you think they price them? They look at the competitors who are the big shots, the franchises in their market, as a guide to price their business, because they figure, well, as successful as they are and the prices they're charging, they must have costs that amount to that, and therefore if I charge my prices according to theirs, then I'll be, at least in my little area, on my little corner store area, I'll be able to make a better profit. Well, you see, that's what's keeping you small. That's what's keeping you from growing. And if you've eked out a situation where you've got one or two, where you've got a second store and a third store in a particular market, you know what? I'm telling you, that's a simple matter of luck. And I don't believe in luck, but I mean the fact of everything that's arrayed against you, and you have been able to get one store and then get another one and then get another one, but you're still independent. You haven't gone down that franchise road. You're at least that smart. You haven't got anything with three stores. You can't compete. You can't hardly, if you're making a little bit of profit off each store, well then maybe your personal income is such that you're real proud of it. But the point I'm getting at is it's your share of market that you have in those stores, local consumer markets, that's important. If you don't have a huge share of the market there, if you haven't designed and organized your local independent business ownership to be able to have the capacity of service in order to absorb a large share of the consumer business that's in that particular local area of consumers that are making those kinds of purchases, then you are not managing your business very well, and you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Because if you've got the ability to serve the customers that you've got, it's just a matter of a little careful management thinking and understanding that you can grow your business with the right marketing and advertising plan. That is, mama, that I'm yabbering to you about. You can grow it, and you don't look. There's no reason to go out and get another store in another location until you've got a maximum amount of the market share in your category of business right in that store. I mean, why would you want to go out and invest all the money in another store in another location when you've only got 3% of the market in the store that you've already got in the location where it's at, and that 3% might amount to what you think is enough of a business or to make you a little profit. But just think what it would be if it was 10%, or if it was 20%, or if it was 30%. And if you could put yourself in a position to get that kind of market share in an exclusive way in your category, in your zip code cities, that's a brand that I created, zip code cities, or down even to the carrier route level. Another brand I have is carrier route cities. If you could do that, and at the same time lower your costs because of the efficiency of the increased buying power, because of the increased sales, you see, the amount of profit you drive to the bottom line is going to be a lot more return on the investment that you already got, rather than going out here somewhere to another location while you're sitting here eking out a 3% share of market in the store location address where you're at, and you already got that store, and you're going out there making all that investment, and you're getting a poor rate of return when you get down to the audit of a real extreme audit on that store's business operations as far as profit and loss statement. And you go out here to another place and invest money and borrow money. Most of you do that when you expand. And then you you see what kind of a rat race that is. And you see, my program brings all that down and focuses on why that's crazy to do it that way. Mama is Marketing Advertising Membership Associates. And what that does is it gets you an exclusive category of business in a particular zip code or carrier out in the city. If it's a category of business where there's a lot of them in that category, like restaurants, or could be beauty shops, and there's two applications in one zip code, then they have to be in different carrier routes. Because my whole thing is, what I, in my program and with my experience in sales, and like I have, and marketing, executive level marketing, national executive level marketing, the point is you've got to have a way in order to impact the maximum number of consumers where your local business has the ability to communicate with those people. And at the lowest common denominator, it's the carrier route or the zip code in your city. If you're in a smaller city in the zip code, then it's the people that live there. But the point I'm getting at is also in the major cities, then one zip code compromises thousands and thousands of people. And if you had a big share of market, yeah, unless you were an exceptional manager, an exceptional business person, you wouldn't be able to organize your business in a way that you could take care of all of them anyway, especially in the food business, because they all eat at once and they all want what you're out of. No, not really, but you get the point. So you've really got to be organized if you're going to ramp up your share of market and take in more customers, and the customers are going to become coming to you because they can save money with you that they can't save with the franchise or the other independent business owners, businesses in your category. Because those people, because of the structure, the way they've structured their business to operate in order to make a profit, their costs are so much higher than yours are with my program that a customer might be ignorant of the fact that they're spending too much money where they're buying. They might be ignorant of that, but when they find out they can buy a $10 pizza for $6.99 on a regular basis or whatever, the point is save 30%, up to 30% on their pizza buy, where do you think they're going to go buy their pizzas? You think they're going to go over here as long as the pizza still tastes good to them? And see, they're not going to know that till they go try. And if it does taste good when they go try and they know they saved a third, where do you think they're going to go the second time? You think they're going to go back over that place where they have to spend $10 to get a pizza that they like to eat? And the same thing is true with delivery of pizza or any other kind of food order, chicken, whatever it is. So you see, what Mama does is it categorizes memberships. I call it business advertising by category. And I offer an exclusive in a category because I'm not out to get you. I'm not out to use you like everybody else is that sells. I get a kick out of these people that are on YouTube and they want you to come to your channel because they say, well, you got to check this notification because otherwise you won't know when I'm telling all the great things I'm telling you about my channel. And I want you to hit the like button because that way uh, people will know that I'm important and everything I got to say is important, and therefore more people will come. You know what's behind all that? Well, I'll tell you what's behind all that. Google, whoever it is, that's uh, that's allowing them to put their word up on there. They're paying them money based on the traffic for their channel. Do you think they really are interested in, first of all, what they have to say doesn't necessarily mean it's any better than anybody else has got to say, because all of it's an opinion. It's all based on what they picked up off the internet somewhere that they have no way of knowing is true or not. Most of these people, I make almost turn my stomach when I listen to what they have to say on the TV about what they know and what they don't know and what they think and what they think they know that they don't think know. Now, I've said some things here in the last couple minutes that probably get me thrown off of this channel, and that's fine because don't think I'll forget that, and don't think I don't have a way to get that to the public when that happens, because I'm not saying anything that's not true. And you see, I'm upsetting what they call the proverbial apple cart here, because if you go in and upset 50% of the franchise business sales locally, if you go in and upset that apple cart, you disrupt that and you direct those sales down to certain businesses that are smart enough to organize themselves into my zip code cities at a cost of less than $500 a year. You think that they're going to let me to continue to promote that idea? Not a chance. But when they jerk me off, what have they done? They've simply said, this guy knows what he's talking about, and we can't afford to have this information out there where a lot of people that go on here and look at these videos are going to see it and understand it. We can't afford that. You see, that's what it's all about. So if you want to get true cost pricing on the food that you buy, and this just about includes everybody today because everybody's out working, so everybody goes out at lunch. Okay, just about. Few people carry a sack anymore to work, and most people work in small businesses, so there isn't a cafeteria. I mean, by far, most people work in small businesses. There's over 23 million small businesses in the United States, and then none of them can afford to advertise unless they have my mama program. Then they can. Because I group them all together. Can you imagine the income from less than 500 a year from 1,000 members, approved members who have an exclusive in their zip code on their category in a city the size of Omaha? That's a $500,000 a year budget in order to advertise and market. And I'll tell you what makes my program even greater is that my program, I call it boomerang marketing, boomerang advertising uh, income. Okay, what that means is that I have a marketing agreement that's written and published online that says every dollar you spend as an advertiser to get the exclusive in your category and your zip code or carrier out is going to be returned to the group and promote the group just like the franchise does, except that I do it down local at the local level. You see, because I provide a directory where people could save up to 1/3 on the website, local page deals, okay, where they can go and get save up to 30% in their zip code, not only where they live, but also where they work. Because when they sign up to get that 1/3 discount, up to 1/3 discount information on the products they buy locally, they put in their zip code at work, they put in their zip code at where they live, and they put in their email address. That's all they have to do, and that comes in, and that is a database in which people are able to access then local page deals and find out in those zip codes where those stores are that are offering up to 1/3 discount in the various categories and saving them not just on that purchase but on every purchase, because I have a concept that I've developed. I hope you're catching all this because you understand, and you can tell by listening to me, if you have listened, that I think in paragraphs. Okay, I don't know if you do or not, but it's the only way to think. Believe me. And see, I'm getting to the part now where the reason why it's so valuable to a local independent resort to jump on this with both feet, because first of all, if there isn't one in that category in that business, they can nail her down for less than 500 a year, and it's theirs as long as they pay that money. Okay, and there's even a provision. I've got a budget on how that money is going to be spent. It's published online, and you can. I divulge everything. So, but the point I'm trying to get at with it, why it's not just the first purchase where the customer saves up to 1/3. That is the reason why they're coming to your store as one of the mama associates. But it's a progressive pricing coupons. All right. Now, what do I mean by that? That means that I have a system set up to where the customer gets a certain discount the first time they come and buy from you, and they get a higher discount the second time, and they get a higher discount the third time, and they get a higher discount and maximum discount the fourth time. And then guess what? It starts over. So when they realize that during that four purchases, whether it's once a week or four times a week or whatever it is, people eat, they eat 5 days a week if they're out working, and usually if they're going out to lunch. Okay, so when they find out they can save up to 1/3 on that dollar, if they've been spending an average of $10 at lunch, that's $50 a week, and they can save 1/3 of that. Well, they're and now all of a sudden they've got an extra $3.50 that they're not spending. Roughly, I mean roughly. Okay, not very good at math, but that's roughly right. Okay, 60%, 66% of $10, it leaves you under $7. Okay, and that's so savings is important if you're working for a living and you can pick up an extra $15-20 a month simply by changing where you're going out and eating lunch. I mean, look, you can't get a raise any easier than that. Okay, and if you don't take advantage of it, well, I would put you in the category of stupid. So as long as the food is acceptable to you, it might not taste exactly the same as where you've been, but as long as it's acceptable to you, and in the store that's in my customer that's an associate, if they're not operating according to the best practices in their particular category of business and selling food, well, then there's something wrong with them. Then they're stupid. So their food should taste good, right? And generally it does because otherwise they wouldn't be in business. All right, somebody's going there and buying food from them, and it's tasting good enough, and most of the time they're coming back to where they've been buying, and even though it's not as regular as it could be, because they don't see any particular advantage to go more often. They like to, percolate their, titillate their taste buds and go somewhere else and get a different kind of food, and pay more through the nose, whatever. And so that's mama for you. And then since I return all the, so now, and each individual business owner can set those levels of discounts for themselves. There's nobody sitting here telling you, well, it's got to be a certain amount so you come up to this amount of discount on the fourth one. That, no, it doesn't work that way. You decide how much. But I can tell you this, that if you're stupid enough that you don't make the discount good enough to affect the way that people are going to spend their money in your zip code or your carrier out. If you're that stupid, well, then you shouldn't be in business. You should be out working for somebody and let them do the thinking. You see what I mean? When you've got the opportunity to grab share of market and you don't understand that the lower you price, the more people you get, as long as you still make a profit and you've audited that on a projection of sales basis with your cost projected to show what kind of money you're going to make at those discounts. If you don't understand that, well, go out and get an accountant to do it for you. He can tell you, and then you've got to organize your business to accept that kind of new traffic, those numbers of new customers. But you calculate all that in your cost of operations in order to still make that profit. But see, you don't have that 30% of extra cost up on top that you have to add in your pricing. You don't have that. That's why your competitors, local independent owners in your category, and the franchise stores, they can't compete with you because they've got the local independent operators in your category, the other stores that you compete against for share of market in that category, in that carrier out, in that zip code. Their share of market is based on the prices they charge, and compared to the share of market 50% that the franchise has in that local market, which is a third higher than necessary. So if they cut that price down to 30% less to try to compete with you as a mama associate, well, they're going to go broke. You see, because they're going to take the amount of money that they're earning at the bottom with all their extra costs at the top, and they're going to eliminate that. And so if customers stay there and continue to take advantage of that low price, they're not going to make a profit anymore, and you can't be in business to not make a profit. So you got, when you see this as a business owner in a local, the first thing you ought to do is find out if my category's gone. Is the chicken shop in such and such a zip code gone? If another chicken shop has already got it nailed down, and if they don't, then you better sign up, okay? And if it's not set up on the website for you to sign up when you discover that, then get a hold of me and we'll get going on it, okay? So here's the end, and see you around.